You're with Julian on the Brown Note and a review of the latest Guy Ritchie film called really unwieldy Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre. Something of war. So Guy Ritchie has been one of my most detested directors. I think Snatch and Lock, Stock are hugely enjoyable bad films. Well, not great films, but pretty much everything else he's done, apart from the excellent Man from U.N.C.L.E., which was a flop, has been dreadful. So he came out with The Gentleman in 2019, and I was stunned by what an increase in quality that film had. Unfortunately, nothing he's done following that up has really capitalised on how well written and performed that film was. It was another league to anything else he'd done, really, or much else he'd done. Wrath of Man with Jason Statham wasn't that great, and now we're up to Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre, which features some stalwarts here, particularly Jason Statham and Hugh Grant, and some newbies, which is the highlight, which is Aubrey Plaza. Josh Hartnett as well. He's been in the wilderness for some time. I wish I could tell you about the plot. It's the most generic spy film you could possibly ever think of. Jason Statham's like an elite spy kind of guy who is sent after Hugh Grant, who's an arms guy, and Hugh Grant is facilitating the exchange of a MacGuffin, a deadly weapon, to people who have nefarious interests at heart. And that's the whole film. Has one of the laziest, most overdone spy action caper plot lines, sub James Bond plot lines you could ever possibly offer. And I would say to anyone writing a film out there of this ilk, if your idea is a computer that takes over all of the world's computers, stop right there. You have any idea how many films have used the central plot device is something that takes over all the world's computers so you can control them? There are so many. I think the Fast and the Furious have done it 3 times or something. It's such an overplayed plot. Oh, it really is. Yeah, the film's about Orson Fortune, Jason Statham, who must retrieve a stolen high-tech device before an arms dealer can sell it to the highest bidder. There is no imagination at all in any element of the plot. So what you're left with is a film that is 50% incredibly funny. And the reasons for that are Hugh Grant was amazing in The Gentleman. He is really warming up to his late career curmudgeonly old man. And, you know, all that stuff on the red carpet with him at the Oscars just made people like him more. It's like, do you understand how public relations work? No one likes, you know, no one would have been talking about him, and no one likes people that kiss people's backsides on the red carpet, and he comes out and gets accused globally of being this awful human being. It just made people like him more. He was so good in The Gentleman as a very devious tabloid journalist. He kind of ramps that character up by a factor of 5 for the arms dealer here. A sleazy, devious man. And he's brilliant. And the other thing is, I absolutely adore Aubrey Plaza. I've been calling for her to become much more famous than she is. She's gorgeous, but she's got one of the most unusual and intrinsically developed comedic styles of any actress. And they, thank God, let her loose on occasion in this film. Every time Hugh Grant or Aubrey Plaza are on screen, it's kind of wonderful. It's worth it just for that, and it elevates moments where Jason Statham's on screen with either of them as well. You can tell that they're really letting Aubrey go for it. Her trademark has been for the last 15 years going on chat shows and being normal for about 30 seconds and then just saying something where you're just like, what? and saying something that is just so funny, but not ever looking like she's ever trying to be funny at all. She's a really unique character, and given that she was in the White Lotus thing last year, I really hope it's breaking through for her. There are wonderful scenes in this where Hugh Grant's character is sleazing onto her, which is just outrageous stuff. So it's a real game of two halves here. I think it like Josh Hartnett is really good as a Hollywood actor who has to pretend to be a Hollywood actor. So he's like, the people trying to buy the weapons are big fans of his, so he has to go along and pretend to be himself so that they'll meet the other characters in the film. Everyone's elevated as soon as Hugh Grant's character or Aubrey Plaza's character are on screen. The rest of it is Poundland Guy Ritchie. It feels incredibly cheap at times. And it doesn't feel like even though they've got all the locations and they look like they've got some semblance of a budget. How much was it? You're joking. $50 million budget on that. Oh dear. There are times it looks like cheap TV. He needs a different cinematographer because he doesn't look like a $50 million film. So it's an enjoyable watch. The story is so trite, it made me angry. It's like, can't you put any imagination into a spy caper at all? Like, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was excellent. That was awesome. Why not get that writer? Why not get the person that wrote The Gentleman? If they're here, I'm shocked. So it limps across the line for me. Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. With 3 of those points going to Aubrey Plaza and 3 going to Hugh Grant. 6 out of 10.